So today we did ankle picks, and then we pulled into Delhiva. So the footwork for the Delhiva, I had trouble, or just sloppy. So if we're pulling to the left, we want to bring the right to the left, then the left comes up to get the hook, and then you fall to the side. So it's like right to the left, then left comes up. So I kept on stepping with the left first. But yeah, that's just like something to work on. The ankle pick, one point is bringing the head outside of the knee. Well, sorry, your knee goes outside of the foot, but then your head also should be in like a line with that knee. So I'm unsure if I was doing that before or not. So that was the stand up. Then then after that we went into Lasso. So we pulled into Delhiva, and then your opponent will not normally try to attack the Delhiva hook. So he'll post on or push down on that knee. So let's just say your left knee, you have a Delhiva hook with your left foot. So he will push down there. So you take that opportunity to get a wrist grip or like a sleeve grip. Then you bring your foot inside into a lasso. When you bring your foot inside, you don't want to like sweep it all the way around and back in. You just want to take it straight up and then back into and then back in. So it's on the outside of his leg. You want to bring it toward you, and then you put it back away from you, this time on top of his arm, and you go through. Your foot should go through under his armpit and then hook the back of his armpit. And then your hand still has sleeve grip, but you want your hand to be on the near side of your thigh. So if you can't do that, you can push your leg further through, and then that'll give you a little bit of slack in his leg to pull it closer to you so that you can get your fist on the near side of your thigh. So that locks his arm pretty tight into you. Okay, so now you have a lasso. Your right foot is still against his hip. So what you want to do is, with your right hand, you control his left ankle, and then your right foot goes into his left hip. From there, you can off balance him. You want to pull him forward to the area above your left shoulder, like a 45-degree angle out from your left shoulder. Yeah, so hopefully, ideally he will post there, and then you can come up and come up into side control, sort of wrestle up and come up into side control. So then the alternative situation is, once you have the lasso grip, you're unable to get the ankle grip or hold because he steps away. In that case, you bring your right leg down to the ground. You get his right foot into the crook of your right knee, Um, and then you can use, if you push out with your left foot or left leg, and you kind of pull with your left arm, he'll off balance to your left side. And so if he falls over, that's great. If he might try to regain his balance by bringing his left foot closer to you, in which case you can grab his ankle and do the first move. Yeah, so that was the sequence we worked on today. Yeah, and then after class I did private with Tim. Kind of went over the tape, wasn't very good. So my opponent during the competition was giving me like opportunities to wrestle up, but I wasn't wrestling up because like I wasn't putting my elbow in like a strong position in order to push up, or my foot placement was bad when I tried to knee lever, or my underhook. Like I would get an underhook, but then I grab at the belt instead of pulling his elbow high. So it's like I wasn't really doing the right things, and when I was doing the right things, I wasn't executing it properly. So today we went over the John Wayne sweep again, or the knee lever. So one thing that he stressed was I need to keep my feet together. So in this situation, it's like a half guard. It is half guard. And so half guard, your legs are clamped around one of his legs, and you need to keep your outside foot on top of your inside foot. So your legs are around his, let's say your legs are on his right leg. So you need to hook the leg with your lower leg, which is your right leg, and then place your left foot on top of that. If you put your left foot on the ground, then that just leaves it wide open for him to pass you. So it's essential for you to keep your left foot on top of your right foot. So that's that. And then you want to throw his body weight toward that side. So toward the side of that leg. So you want to kind of trap his arm, his right arm, with your left arm, and then you want to push on his armpit with your right arm. Push on his left armpit with your right arm, and that should. You can also bring your weight over to the right side, and then pushing on the armpit, and that should give you. He should, at that point, post. And then you can grab the underhook there. So if he doesn't post, then you should be able to sweep him. So if he posts, you get the underhook, and you want to have that underhook high. So you want to raise his right arm higher. So you can. I was grabbing the belt in the tournament, which I knew was wrong, but I don't know, when you're kind of panicking, you just grab at anything. So you want to have your elbow flared so that the back of your hand is toward the back of his back, like your knuckles are touching his back, and that keeps his arm high. So then that will give you the space to get on your elbow and you can wrestle up. Okay, so then once you're on your elbow, you want to switch your feet. So before your left foot was on top of your right foot, now you can bring your left foot over and to trap his right leg. Before your right leg was hooking that leg. So you're switching your feet. Your left leg comes over, but you still want to keep your knees together. You still want to pinch his knee as you come up. So at this point you can go to butterfly, which is what we practice a lot, because you have the space to get the butterfly guard in. Otherwise, if you do not, then you can do like a knee tap and push him down, or you can, if he's pushing back into you, you can sweep him back. You can sweep him back. Let's see. Okay, so so then otherwise you go to butterfly. Butterfly, you can get a belt grip. You can try to trap on his arm so he can't post. The keys here are when you want to sweep butterfly, you cannot go back on, you can't fall onto your back and then try to sweep him like overhead or something like that. You need to actually lean into him as you fall. You want to bring the bottom foot that you're going to sweep with inside of your other leg, and then push with your toes. So you actually bring your foot in and then getting your toes onto the mat, pushing up through there. At the same time, the leg that's hooking, you want to push directly up. And then when his body weight is loaded on you, then you can push and flip him over, sweep him over. It's kind of hard to describe. If you fall back, it's easier initially. It feels easier, but then when his weight's on top of you, then it's impossible to sweep him over unless he's a lot lighter than you. If you lean forward, it's initially harder to push, but once you get past a certain point, then it becomes easier. And the hooking leg, if you lean back, your hooking leg will be directly above you, so his body weight will be directly above you. If you are leaning forward and to the side, then your hooking leg never has to get directly above you, so you're not lifting that weight directly over. It's more like a angle kind of thing. And then if you can't switch to one side, you get the other. Butterfly also is not as important. You don't need to worry about posting hands. If you post, then you just switch directions and sweep the other way. If he pulls back, you keep the belt grip and let him drag you with him as he pulls back, and then you can push into him as sort of like a wrestle up-ish motion. And then if he's pulling back and you start doing that and then he pushes forward into you, then you can use that to go into the sweep again. So Tim was saying that he doesn't, so most BJJ guards, it's sort of like waiting for someone to push into you. So then Tim is saying that what he likes to do is kind of push into them, and then if they retreat, then he uses that momentum to to sort of wrestle up, and if they push back, then he uses that momentum to sweep. And that's in sort of opposition to trying to get them to lean forward and then you sweep. Yeah, I think it's like a subtle nuance, but it's more like redirecting the energy. Yeah.